सच्चित् सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். So I don't know Tamil, so please excuse me for that. Yeah, I'm very happy to be in the midst of you all today as you are celebrating Tiruppugal Ambargal recitation. I am thankful to Dr. Girija Madam for inviting me over to this celebration. I really don't have words to appreciate you, to eulogize you, because Arunagiri Natha, the 15th century saint poet, after receiving the grace of Lord Subramanya, he sang these beautiful hymns to the Lord, and then since then you have been holding on to these gems of spiritual wisdom, and you have been continuing with the legacy and cultivating your love for Muruga. So it's a great tradition you have been maintaining. India is a land of spirituality. India is a land of saints. Tamil Nadu has produced a galaxy of sages and saints. You have a rich spiritual heritage, and you are so passionately preserving that spiritual heritage. So I appreciate you for that. Today we are celebrating this function on the occasion of the centenary of Dr. N. Subramanianji. Today I have been asked to speak something on Bhakti. So I will just speak a few words on Bhakti, about the definition of Bhakti, differences between Jnana and Bhakti, and how to cultivate Bhakti, advantages of Bhakti, and pitfalls of Bhakti Marga. So, what is Bhakti? In Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada defines it as Satu Asmin Parama Prema Rupa. Bhakti means intense love for God. Shandilya defines it as Sa Para Anurakti Ishvare, intense attachment to God. Sa Para Anurakti Ishvare. According to Shandilya, that is the definition of Bhakti. Intense attachment to God. Satu Asmin Parama Prema Rupa. Intense love to God is Bhakti according to Narada. So both are more or less the same definitions. So, what are the differences between Bhakti and Jnana? So, some of the great commentators of Prasthanatraya and great Acharya said, Bhakti is only a means to an end. But if you just look at the great poet saints, great devotees, they said Bhakti is not a means to an end, it is both a means and also an end in itself. In the sense that it is a total fulfillment. It's not a means to an end, it is both a means and also an end. Attaining that highest love for God is the highest objective of human life. There cannot be any greater goal, there cannot be any greater objective. We are here only for one purpose, to love God. When you love God, you will be loved by God. So winning the love of God is the ultimate object of human life. That is the summum bonum. There is nothing greater to achieve for a human being in this world. Sri RAMAKRISHNA Paramahamsa used to say, there is not much difference between pure jnana and pure bhakti. See, in an ocean, in winter, ice blocks are formed. What is ice? It's not separate from God as such, not separate from water. It's one and the same. God actually, for the sake of devotees, He incarnates in human form from time to time. Jnanis say that God is impersonal, God is everywhere, God cannot be limited to a form. But bhaktas say that God actually takes the form just to bless the devotee. And so both are accepted because in the sense, when you attain to the final beatitude, para bhakti, you finally merge in God only. But Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, Bhakta doesn't prefer to merge in God. I don't want to become sugar, I want to enjoy sugar. Only when you maintain that little separation from the Lord, I want to be your devotee, you can enjoy devotion to Lord. You can enjoy that love for God. But if you merge in God, there is no scope. So I don't want to become sugar, I want to enjoy sugar. And also, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say that God gives you liberation if you ask for, but what He doesn't give you is para bhakti. Supreme bhakti He won't give. Why? If He gives His supreme bhakti to a devotee, he has to become the slave of the devotee. You know, in Srimad Mahabhagavatam, we have this story of Kuchela. When Kuchela goes to Krishna for some, money sake, he wants to ask some money from Krishna, his childhood friend. He goes to Dwaraka, he meets Krishna. And Krishna asks him, have you brought any upayana to me from your home? And so this Kuchela was hesitant to give the small, little bowl of flattened rice that he has brought from his home. And Krishna takes it away forcefully from him and opens it up and sees, that flattened rice. Oh, you have brought the thing that is very dear to me. I relish this flattened rice, oh, Kuchela. So he took one fistful of that flattened rice. But when he was about to eat the second fistful of that flattened rice, Mother Rukmini intervenes and she says, no, Krishna, enough. He has come here seeking some favor from you. And that has been fulfilled, that has been achieved by him because of this first eating of that fistful of rice. That's enough. Why she prevented Krishna from taking a second fistful of that flattened rice? Had he taken it, he would have left Dwaraka and he would have been with only his devotee. He would be residing with his devotee thereafter. He would not be there in Dwaraka. Having known this, she prevented Krishna from eating the second morsel of flattened rice from Kuchela. That is the greatness of bhakti with which you can enslave God to you. God will become your servant. Through jnana it doesn't happen. God will give you the final merger. You will attain that, union with God. But more than that, if you cultivate para bhakti, God has to become your slave. God has to become your servant. And that's the reason God is ready to give liberation or mukti, but He doesn't give para bhakti that easily. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say. So there is not much difference in that way between worshipping the Lord in impersonal Brahman, as impersonal Brahman, or as Saguna Sakara Rupa. Because in Saguna Sakara is nothing but the highest reading of the human mind. Highest reading of the absolute by the human mind is Saguna Sakara or personal God. Vivekananda said this. So why should I worship Saguna Sakara? Why should I worship the God in form? Can't I worship the impersonal abstract Brahman? But Swamiji says that it is too much of an abstraction for a human being to worship the Lord as the impersonal absolute. So we need to have a personal God. Then only you can cultivate bhakti. So it's very difficult. Lord Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, so for the impersonal Brahman to worship is not easy for ordinary human beings. Those people who are highly evolved, people alone can worship. But Krishna says that is avyaktahi gatir dukkha. So worshipping the Lord as Saguna Sakara in a anthropomorphic form is the easiest and the best, particularly for this age. And what are the ways to cultivate bhakti? We all know actually how to cultivate bhakti. Bhakti is just a word, but we have to cultivate it. How do you do that? repetition of God's name with love is one way. For Kali Yuga, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say that Naradhiya Bhakti. What is Naradhiya Bhakti? Repetition of God's name with love is the easiest way. What happens when you do that, when you keep on doing that? Slowly, slowly you will grow in devotion. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, when you walk one step towards God, He will walk 10 steps towards you in this Kali Yuga. So by repeating God's name with love, you will be winning the grace of the Lord. And selfless service is also one means to achieve God's grace, to achieve devotion to God. Selfless service means looking upon all as manifestations of that same Lord, manifestation of your chosen deity, manifestation of your Ishtadaivam. You will serve your fellow human beings. Not as fellow human beings, they are all manifestations of your Ishtadaivam only. When you, with that attitude, do the service to your fellow human beings, God will bless you. You will obtain the grace of the Lord. And also we know that prayer in all other religions also, Abrahamic religions also, they want to win the grace of the Lord. They want to cultivate bhakti to the Lord. The means that they employ there is prayer, ceaseless prayer. Many Christian mystics also, they would constantly pray to their Lord and to get the grace of the Lord. Prayer and surrender ultimately. What is surrender? You consider yourself as an agent, an instrument in the hands of the divine. Whatever you do, he says, God only is making me do this. My chosen deity, my Lord, my Muruga, my Subramanya actually is making me do this. Constantly you think, constantly you have that kind of attitude. So you will become a perfect instrument in the hands of the divine to the point that you have completely surrendered to Him. At that point of time, there is not much difference between your will and the divine will. Your will is merged with the divine will. So whatever that expresses through you, thereafter is only God's word and God's will. So then Arunagiri Nathar also, he became an instrument in the hands of the divine. It is God, Murugan, who spoke through him. That's the reason you worship him. That's the reason actually such teachings stand the test of time. So here also in Telugu land also, in Telugu people also, we have Srimad Bhagavatam written by Potana. So he surrendered absolutely to the Lord and then he became an instrument. Afterwards he translated that Bhagavatam from Sanskrit into Telugu. So that book actually stands the test of time and people today relish it so much, they read it so much, they understand that it's not a human creation. This translation has not been done by human being. God himself actually has done that translation in the form of Potana, where that individual had completely surrendered to the divine. What are the advantages of Bhakti path? So we have Jnana Marga, we have Bhakti Marga, we have Yoga Marga, we have Karma Marga. How Bhakti is superior to other paths? In Bhakti, there is no scope for fall as such. Fall in the sense is easy compared to other. Jnana Marga is difficult, Yoga Marga is difficult. Doing work with detachment in this Kali Yuga is also difficult. But Bhakti Marga is the easiest. Gradually you will grow in devotion to the Lord. But there is no actually danger here. So Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to give the example of Marjala Kishora Nyaya and Markata Kishora Nyaya. See, it says a cat and kitten. The kitten, they holds on to the mother. So mother, wherever it places, the kitten is happy. Kitten actually doesn't make any effort from its side. So Markata Kishora Nyaya, the baby monkey has to hold on to the mother constantly. If it doesn't hold on to it, it will fall down. Mother will be jumping from branch to branch, but baby monkey has to hold on carefully to its mother. Otherwise it will fall down. But in Marjala Kishora Nyaya, so kitten actually doesn't make any effort. It is the responsibility of the mother. Wherever she places me, I am there. I don't make any effort. It's her responsibility to protect me. So Bhakti is like that, where you are surrendered to God and it's God's responsibility to protect you and to ensure, your peace and happiness. And He will do everything for you. He will give whatever that you need in this world. On His own He will give. But in the Jnana Marga, actually you have to be very alert. It's like walking on the razor's edge. Churasya dhara nishita duratyaya, Upanishad says. It's like walking on the razor edge in Jnana path. So the path is definitely difficult. So Bhakti Marga is the easiest, simplest for Kali Yuga. That's why actually we all have to practice in the Bhakti. And also, God is Alpa Santoshi, we say. Minimum things He will be happy and satisfied in the Kali Yuga. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Pahrutam Ashnami Prayatatmanaha. To please Him, you don't have to give big things. You don't have to very rich and elaborate naivedyas you don't have to offer. Patram, one leaf you give me. God is Bhavagrahi. Pushpam, one flower. Phalam, or fruit. Toyam, little water. That is enough to satisfy me, to make me happy. So Krishna himself is saying, oh Arjuna, you don't have to give great naivedhyas to me. You give the simplest thing, it's okay, because whole universe belongs to him, what we can give to him. So what is important is bhava, with little love, surrender, with prema. When we give, Lord accepts that. Otherwise it may be a pompous offering, very rich offering it may be, but there is no devotion in the heart. God will not accept that. So in this age, why should we love God? Why should we cultivate bhakti for God? If we have this question, we know that God has done this creation. Whenever we do something, we have a prayojana. We expect something from whatever we do. Similarly, when Lord has done a creation of this magnitude, what is that He is expecting from this world, this universe? Does He have an expectation? You may say that He is complete. Why should He have an expectation? Yes, definitely God is complete. He doesn't need anything from anybody. He doesn't have an expectation. But He has done this universe, right? This universe He has created. What is the objective of this one? What He wants to achieve by creating a universe of this kind? We know that God has created n number of species, beings. There are so many beings with physical bodies. Human being is the best. He is on the top of the pyramid. So human being is the greatest among all the species that God has created. Only this being can have this question, who is the creator of this universe, and think about that creator and cultivate love for this creator. So God is actually, after doing this creation, He is actually expecting that how many human beings really seek the creator, living the creation. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, we are so thrilled, we are so fascinated by the magic of God, we have forgotten the magician. The world is the magic, and the creator of the world is actually God, the magician. So we are so enamored, we are so fascinated by this creation magic, and we actually have forgotten the Lord. That is our problem. And so, what is that? The Maya will not allow us to look to God, to love God, to think of God, to worship God. But if individuals breaking through this Maya, oh Lord, I don't want your creation, I want you only. I want you only. I don't want your magic, I want you only. When you keep saying like this and cultivate, of course we have our responsibilities definitely in the world. It's not easy to turn the mind towards God. Mind always goes towards the world and thinks of the world. But resisting that temptation, if you really think about God, God will bless you. That is the challenge, right? We are sandwiched between these two forces. One is the centripetal force, and another is centrifugal force. The centripetal force is God's grace, centrifugal force is Maya, which is this world. Overcoming this centrifugal force, Maya, if you can turn your mind towards God, the centripetal force, actually you are a blessed individual. Then God actually will congratulate you, will love you, because this is the individual. See, who is actually overcoming my Maya, seeking me through this actually world of name and form. He is seeking me. He is not actually not contented with my magic. He wants to go beyond. Through creation, we have to seek the Creator. That is the purpose and goal of life. So what are the dangers in Bhakti Marga? Are there any dangers? Yeah, a few dangers are there. What is that? The devotees of a particular sect might become fanatics. You just see in Abrahamic religions, they say that this is the only God that you need to worship. This is the only name that you have to use for God. That breeds fanaticism. So, because of that, they try to fight with others. Here in Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, it has not happened, but there are sometimes you see here and there some sects, they try to become fanatical. Only our God is the absolute, and He is the highest and the greatest, and they tend to look down upon the followers of other sects, thinking that your God is inferior to my God. When that kind of mindset, that kind of attitude sets in, this is fanaticism. Right? You need to understand, just as I have the right to worship the Lord in this form, maybe Murugan, maybe Ganesha, maybe as Venkateshwara, Rama and Krishna, you have the choice. But in our culture, we know that all the forms are one and the same. They are the forms of the one absolute. So I prefer to worship the Lord in this form. If somebody else wants to worship the Lord in any other form, it's okay. We both actually are going towards this in the same direction. I don't pick up a quarrel with the other person. I don't say that my God is superior, my form is superior, my form is the absolute, and he also should worship only through my form. No such fanaticism exists in Hinduism here in Sanatana Dharma. Sometime back in the past it existed, but today it is not there. Everybody understands that God is one only, He is all-pervading spirit, but I have the choice, I have the right to worship Him whichever way and whichever form I like. So that kind of fanaticism is not there here. But you look at the Abrahamic religions, the other parts of the world, when you go there, they are intensely fanatical. For them to love their God, the only way they know is to hate somebody else. Swami Vivekananda says this. So they want to love their God. How they want to love their God? By hating somebody else. Without hating somebody, I cannot love my God. That's the problem. So that's how actually they want to worship their Lord. But that's no. That's fanaticism. That's the problem with Bhakti. And that's why Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, first have the Advaitic knowledge. Put that Advaita in your pocket and then worship the Lord in whichever form you want. But you know that the ultimate goal is Advaita in the sense that ultimately it's one God we are reaching through whichever form that you want to go. So this is how actually you need to practice. And what are the different stages of Bhakti? So as soon as you say God's name and you will not attain Parabhakti, right? The Gauna Bhakti is the Prathamika Bhakti, preliminary Bhakti. And from that to the highest point is Parabhakti. Like people like Prahalada had attained, people like Andal, people like Mirabai, people like Akka Mahadevi, such great sages and saints, they have attained to that Parabhakti. So we have got so many examples in our Puranas and also in our history, the people who have attained to the highest level of Bhakti, the blessed souls. And how to cultivate Bhakti in Kali Yuga, the satsang, people who are similarly oriented, people who want to have God, people who want to know God, people who have some love for God, all such people coming together, in Kali Yuga, the satsanga is very, very important. Otherwise, the little dispassion that we have, little love for God we have, that gets dried up in no time because the worldliness around is so huge, so intense. It's a huge current and very powerful current, the worldliness. It carries away all the little tender feelings that we have for God. So this kind of satsanga, this kind of celebrating and remembering God together is actually need of the hour in Kali Yuga. We all have to do that. So I just on a lighter note, once Narada, the great devotee of the Lord, he had a curiosity. He just wanted to know, what is my place among the devotees of the Lord? What is my rank as a devotee? So he came to know from Hanuman that Lord actually keeps 2 diaries in which actually he has written he has come to know that Lord has kept a diary in which he has written the list of his devotees according to the rank. So Narada became very curious, what is my rank among the devotees of the Lord? So he goes and asks Lord Rama, oh Lord, I heard that you keep a diary in which you have written the names of your devotees according to the rank. I just want to know my rank. Lord Rama said, oh Narada, diaries are personal. A personal diary I cannot show, right? You should not insist. You should not ask what is there in my personal diary. This is my personal thing. So Narada went on pestering the Lord. No. I just want to know my rank. So please show. So Lord Rama ultimately had to give him the diary. So Narada opens the diary. First rank, number 1, Narada. He was so happy, overjoyed. He did not want to see anybody else there. My rank is on the top. I am the greatest devotee of the Lord. And then he goes to Hanuman again. And I told him actually. So I saw the diary. My rank is first. I am the best among the devotees of the Lord. Then Hanuman coolly asked him. So there is another diary which Lord keeps, a small diary. Have you seen the names in that diary? Oh, Lord keeps a second diary also. I heard he keeps only one diary. The one diary I saw, in that actually my name is on the top. Then Narada goes to Rama again. Oh Lord, I heard you keep another diary. Some other names are there in that diary. What names you have written there? Why you are keeping a separate diary? I want to know. So this diary itself you could have mentioned the names of those other devotees also. So again he pesters Lord Rama. Lord Rama said, see, I have shown you my personal diary. Second also you are asking, this is personal, diaries are personal, they should not be shown. It's for me only. But Narada did not leave Rama. Then after understanding that this Narada won't leave me, he will not stop pestering me unless and until I show the second diary also. The Lord opens up that diary. Only 2 names are written there. First name is Bharata, second name is Hanuman. Now Narada became curious. Why you have written these 2 names in this diary? Why these 2 names are not there in the first diary? Rama said, the devotees that are there, the names that are there in the first diary, they repeat my name. And these are the 2 devotees whose name I repeat. Who are they? Bharata and Hanuman. Then Narada understands the greatness of Bharata and Hanuman. It's not that they repeat God's name, God repeats their name. They are so great. Then Narada's pride is humbled. He said, God has, has place in his heart for me, and also he has placed. There are devotees who are greater than me. No, this is just on a lighter note. Sri RAMAKRISHNA Paramahamsa, another small story he used to say. One Jnani and one Bhakta, they were traveling in a forest. Suddenly there appeared a tiger. The Jnani said, why should we fear? Our God is there, Lord is there. All pervading spirit is, he will protect us. Then Bhakta said, why should we trouble our Lord? Let us climb the tree and save ourselves. So that is the difference between a Jnani and Bhakta. So the Jnani, he believes in all pervading spirit and he says God protects him. Bhakta will be so considerate, like motherly love, he will show to God. And he wants to protect God also sometimes. So why to trouble our Lord? We will climb a tree and save ourselves. So that is the difference. The Jnani thinks that it is because of the Lord, actually I exist. Right? It is because of the Lord I exist. He is making my heart palpitate. As Atman, he is residing in me. Because of him only I live. He is actually the source, he is the energy of my mind. He is actually the light that lights my senses. That's the attitude of Jnani. Whereas a Bhakta, he doesn't think like that. It is I am who is carrying the Lord in my heart. The Jnani says that I am being carried by the Lord because he is the Adhisthana, he is the substratum. Because of him I live. Jnani believes, Jnani says. The Bhakta says, no. It is because of me. I have provided actual shelter to the Lord in my heart. My heart is the dwelling place of the Lord. I have rented my heart, my house to him. He is staying in a rental, paying rent to me in my heart. I am carrying the Lord. He believes like that. So in Bible there is a statement that Jesus says, the foxes have their holes, the birds of sky have their nests, the Son of Man has no place to rest. Okay, in Kali Yuga, God has become a kind of orphan. Without these devotees, the world will not exist. Without these devotees, the world will not exist. Devotees are the people who provide shelter to God in that way. If that little devotion, if you don't cultivate in your heart, the world will not go. Prakopa will come. There will be annihilation all around. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna, after coming to Mathura, once he asked Uddhava, go to Gokula and find out how Gopikas are doing, what they are doing. So, just to report it back to the Lord, what the Gopikas are doing, and Uddhava travels to Vraja. Then he sees the intense devotion the Gopikas had for Krishna. When they were chanting the name of Krishna with such fervor, with such pathos, such love, such passion. And Uddhava was surprised. Uddhava also is a devotee of the Lord. He says, Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam Padarenu Madikshnasaha Yasam Harikatodgitam Punati Bhonatrayam. He said, Vande Nanda Vrajastrinam. I salute these Vrajastris, these Gopikas. Padarenu Madikshnasaha. What I salute? The dust on the feet of their feet, that I worship, he said. Yasam Harikatodgitam. Their worship of the Lord, their chanting of God's name, Punati Bonatrayam. It is actually purifying the 3 worlds, he said. That is the power of the Gopikas, because another devotee only could detect. And he says thereafter, if I were to get another birth, I would prefer to be born as a shrub in this Vraja Bhumi. Otherwise, at least a small grass. I consider that would be a blessing if I could be born as a small shrub or small grass on this Vraja Bhumi, because the dust of that place is so sacred. It has become so sacred because of the presence of the Gopikas. And that was his longing, to take birth in that Vraja, not as a creature, not as a human being, but as a gulma, as a shrub, as a small grass. So that will be the actually greatness and grandeur of the devotees of God. We all know in our culture that God is not somewhere up in the sky. He is not actually say in the Vaikuntha. He is not in heaven. He is within our own heart. And it is so easy to cultivate. Just repeat His name with love in this Kali Yuga. He will bless. And I really congratulate you all. Thank you all for your wonderful passion. That this Tiruppugal Ambargal, may God bless you all. Thank you once again.